Hi everyone! For my STEM project, I decided to investigate STEM education, an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Before I delve in, I want to give a quick overview of my intent for the project by first addressing the Common Core State Standards. When I consider the standards, I think about them in two main categories. Of course, the content standards, but then also the practice standards that are targeted at helping our students to develop positive, productive habits of mind that include patient problem solving, flexible thinking, perseverance in challenging contexts, using tools appropriately, and so forth. Where STEM comes into this is, of course, STEM projects address content standards in a way that is seemingly subtle for students, but then also, of course, they're addressing the mathematical practice standards, because not only do the projects really not have one clear right answer, they're also challenging, they're time consuming, they're long term, and in order to come to the final product, students really have to persevere and do so for the most part independently. I created a STEM lesson plan that was designed to reinforce understandings of volume, specifically for rectangular prisms. And not only that, but I was also addressing several practice standards in the process. The feedback I got from students about the STEM project was very positive. They were overly eager to come to class and get with their partners and start working. I'm very eager to develop and implement even more projects in my class after my experience with this one. I first want to give a little bit of a overview of my school and the student demographics. I teach at Red Oak Elementary School in Highland Park in District North Shore 112. It's a unique school in the context of the district because we have the dual language program in grades K through 5, which accounts for our significant portion of English language learners. And then we also have the highest rate of military students in the district that are coming in from Fort Sheridan. And so our motility rate's pretty high as well. And so we do have a group of diverse learners in terms of their readiness levels. And so, the military students move in mid-year, they move out mid-year, and they come to us with a lot of varying background knowledge. Not only that, we're as inclusive as possible with students with disabilities. We have an awesome extended resource program in which the students are pushed in, and I have great support systems from the special educators as well. And we also do have about a quarter of our population are from low-income families. A STEM project is designed to meet the needs of a diverse group of students. They're hands-on, they are relevant to students' lives, and I wanted to talk about the diverse demographics at my school because I believe that STEM projects would very much fit this profile. I became interested in STEM mostly because my district started to provide elective courses at the middle school level. Last year was the first year. So the students at the middle school level have 1/4 a year in a STEM class, and it's an elective class, so they'll have STEM and then their health courses and so forth. So all of the middle schoolers are engaging with STEM education. And so not only was I interested in, becoming marketable at a middle school level, of course, but I also wanted to prepare my students for the education that they would be getting in STEM the following year. Not only that, but STEM also has so many benefits for students. It promotes higher level thinking, problem solving, mental dexterity. Not only that, but collaboration and communication skills are necessary, and not just something that we tell our students to work in partners and they end up working alone. The collaboration is key to the success of the project. And not only that, we're developing mathematical and scientific habits of mind that go along with the mathematical practice standards. Luckily, at my school, we have a one-to-one classroom model. Just last year, we had the pilot team implement the one-to-one Chromebook use, and I was a part of that team, but now grades 3 through 5 have transitioned to a one-to-one classroom model. My students have Chromebooks that they take home and they keep at school. Some of them keep them at school and don't take them home, but the majority of them are able to take them home. And grades K through 2 make use of the plethora of MacBooks that we have available, and we have 20 iPads that are available for use by any grade level. When I was considering implementing a STEM project, it kind of came out of a need because we have a 30-minute daily math intervention block that was implemented school-wide. Basically, my administrative team wanted to block out a specific period of time each day to be able to provide interventions to tier 2 students in math specifically. But then also provide extra math practice for the Tier 1 core students And so all students every day are getting 90 minutes of math instruction a day. The actual only students by law that are required to get this extra core plus more are the Tier 2 students. So my team and I had a really tough time at first planning for the extra 30 minutes in addition to our already 60-minute core math block. So we noticed that the students would, not really be excited to come to this math block. The Tier 2 students, let me be clear, they were not excited to do the extra practice that was required of us by administration. And so we needed to rethink the structure of this time. We wanted to make good use of it for our Tier 1 students, and what we decided was that the biggest skill they lacked wasn't the content standards. They were lacking the practice standards. They could develop, stronger perseverance. They could develop stronger problem-solving skills, more accuracy, more consistency with that. So we wanted to look into STEM to implement during this time for the Tier 1 students so we could make the best use of the time possible. So let's just look at an overview of what STEM is. It is the integration, it's interdisciplinary, of two or more of the 4 domains, so science, technology, engineering, and math. It's interdisciplinary, it's hands-on, it's problem-based, and it's an approach that is deeply intertwined in the real world. I want to emphasize the importance of the T. The T is what keeps the students engaged. It is what links up science and math and engineering as being relevant to their lives. So I thought this was an interesting quote. Technology truly transfixes the students' focus. They are 100% engaged. They are so engaged they don't even realize how much of the curriculum is tied in. I mentioned before how STEM projects do address the content standards, but students are a little bit oblivious to this fact. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the need for STEM in education today. I did a little bit of research about, education in the post-Sputnik era. And STEM was actually at the forefront of education then, mostly because America was, really competitive with Russia. And so it came to the forefront then, and it's coming back to the forefront now because we are losing this competitive footing with Asian countries like Singapore and China. So one of the main purposes of STEM education is to prepare students to get them interested in STEM-related careers, so that we can pump more kids into what a lot of articles call the STEM pipeline, right? So to inspire them to become invested in one or more of the domains. So also, in addition to that, 75% of the fastest growing occupations require science or math training. So these wouldn't even be considered STEM careers, but just regular careers at any level that require more knowledge of science or math. With that said, there are a large percentage of students who graduate high school with relatively low science and math ability. Generally, students tend to opt out of the higher level courses in science and math. And not only that, there's pretty low interest in STEM subject areas in elementary school. And this predicts a low interest in obtaining a STEM-related career. Several articles noted that early experiences are critical in the development of career interests. So that's why it's argued that STEM education needs to start in elementary school as early as possible. Now, the outline of STEM projects, there's a couple different structures that I've seen, but this is the most popular structure for STEM projects. So I'll address this one and then one more. So basically there's a 4-stage model. It starts with reflection, in which students are, become invested in the project. They situate the project in relation to their background, knowledge, and experience. Moving on from that is the research stage. This is where the actual instruction occurs. So if a teacher needs to decide what should be scaffolded and what should be instructed. So this is where a teacher may give reading passages for students to, connect the project with outside sources. A teacher might give instruction on the actual content standards so that they can be successful in the stages to come. The students would also then be guided to gather information about their project. So this is mostly where the teacher is acting more as a guide than anything else. Moving forward, though, that's when the teacher kind of backs off and acts more as a coach, where students actually bridge what they've learned with the project's requirements. This is the stage where they work collaboratively, and they are thinking of possible solutions to the original posed problem. The communication stage is the final stage, And this is when students are presenting their model, presenting their solution to peers and to teachers, and they are receiving feedback. Another model that's been around since the 1980s is consistent with STEM technology. I actually was informed of this model by my district. One of our new hires at the administrative level is a huge fan of the 5E model, and it really does coincide with the STEM structure. So if you look at the triangles triangles kind of indicate how much time should be spent on the different stages. So the first stage is engage, kind of like reflection. Students become interested, they're engaged, and their prior knowledge is connected with the key topic. The explore stage is where students explore the concepts with others, and this is when the teacher might need to intervene and plan lessons that would allow them to explore the most effective information and concepts. The explain stage is where students are working collaboratively to generate an explanation of the concept. The elaborate stage is where students deepen their understanding by applying what they've learned to the project requirements. And then evaluate is where students share out and receive feedback. Now, not only is there so many benefits of STEM on student achievement, there's actually more research done on the impact on attitudes. So students in integrated curricular programs like STEM consistently outperform students in traditional classes. And not only that, they have slightly larger gains in critical thinking and significantly higher positive attitudes toward mathematics. So that was one of the key aspects noted in many of the articles that I've read. You know, that's what we want here. It's not as even much about achievement and performance as it is about developing those positive attitudes toward these subject areas. STEM instruction and the structure is also consistent with constructivist learning theory, in which people are said to construct their own understanding through their knowledge of the world. They connect what is new with what is already learned, and they're active creators of their own knowledge. Now, this is the way STEM functions. They're connecting with their background experience with what needs to be learned, and they are going through the process of making meaning themselves, of course with scaffolds and support from the teacher, but they're the most active in their learning. In addition to that, social interaction is fundamental to cognitive development, and STEM is driven by collaboration and communication. When I was developing my lesson plan, I had these objectives in mind: to create a STEM lesson plan that reinforces content standards while addressing those mathematical practice standards. Like I said originally, my teammates and I main goal was to not, pump more content standards at those Tier 1 students, but to give them opportunities to develop as mathematicians in general and develop those positive attitudes and problem-solving skills. Another objective I had was to expose students to STEM education and the structure to prepare them for the required middle school courses. I also wanted to create an enrichment opportunity for those Tier 1 students and to build those 21st century learning skills, including critical thinking, patience and problem solving, and collaborative strategies and skills. Of course, we have the access to the technology. We always hear 21st century learning. Now, this would be a way for me to ensure that these skills were being taught and practiced. My last objective was to communicate to my students the relevance of STEM education and situate it as meaningful now and in their futures. Just to give a really brief overview of the lesson plan that I developed, basically students would be assigned the role of an aquatic habitat designer. They would need to win over a design and production team with a popular new design of an aquarium for home or commercial use. Students would design a creative, innovative aquarium, and this is where it gets to be a little bit more enriched. They would estimate the cost to create the full-size tank, create various designs for which a specific volume has been requested by a customer. So they would be given the volume of the fish tank, and then they would have to create several possible scenarios, all the while trying to be extremely innovative, but also keep in mind the cost. So students would be asked to conduct research, create cost analyses, and use accurate and appropriate scale drawings to model the product. So there's a lot that goes into this, of course, that the students would need to be successful. The objectives would be to use technology effectively to build models. They would identify variables, which is more of a practice standard, by figuring out what they would need to research to calculate potential costs. And they would record that information using tools like Google Spreadsheets. and they would of course apply understandings of volume.